I will say things like, and bang on, I've said exactly what the situation is. Something that I go and I connect to that collective information, and when I say it, they get shocked. I was disowned for a long time from my family. My parents got divorced when I was very young. But I must say, there's another aspect of my life that I would like to talk about, which I don't usually talk about, but I think I've come to that age. I was like, blown over. I didn't realize, the kind of the jewel I had in my hand. At that time when I was learning, I was पता नहीं मुझे क्यों सिखा रहे. And he says, ये कहाँ से? ये तो मेरे बाबा की चीज़ है. तो मैंने कहा मुझे महाराज गुलाम सर कथक नहीं. कहते उन्होंने मेरे बाबा से सीखा क्योंकि किसी किसी के पास है. And I said, हाँ उन्होंने अच्छन महाराज जी से. कहते वो मेरे बाबा. So that's how I got in. I mean, he said he saw the potential.
Welcome to Khayalidialogue. हमारी आज की गेस्ट कथक डांस की दुनिया में एक लेजेंड है. इन्होंने सीखा है from the best in the world and she's been in Pakistan for a long time और इन्होंने यहाँ पे बहुत कुछ सिखाया. आज इनसे गप्स लगाएंगे. इनका नाम है निगहत चौधरी. Hello, Nighat.
Hello, Salman.
Honor to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And as I said, you are our first female guest. So it's a double honor for us.
Thank you. I'm honored to be the first female.
Thank you for coming.
No, it's a pleasure.
So let's talk about a little bit from the beginning, from the start. You were born in London.
No, I wasn't born in London.
You weren't born in London?
No.
Okay.
I was born in Lahore.
You're born in Lahore and then you
I
were 1
was
year
3
old.
months old when I went to London.
Okay. So then you were raised in London.
Then I was raised in London.
And you started dance in London?
I started at the age of 5. Started with ballet and modern dance from school. School, there's creativity happening. You have to sing in the West. Mm-hmm. You have to sing. You have to be part of drawing class, painting. So I started my dance class there, and that's where it started getting serious for me. So I just decided to take ballet, and then I think I didn't want to be a Kathak dancer. This is something that happened much later. I wanted to be a ballerina. And I think that, my family, my mom and my dad did not realize what I was doing in school. Mm-hmm. Because, jo aapka ghar ka mahal and then your atmosphere at home is different. So you're coming back to a very Pakistani household and you're living as a kid in a very Western atmosphere. So dance just became my vice. It was just something that started from deep within.
So you started at 5. And you knew right away that this was something you're going to do for the rest of your life. You were just that
I
much
just
into
knew
it?
that I am a person from a young age, that dance made me happy, mm-hmm. and it made me feel me. So for a young kid to feel that, I think I was a very strange kind of kid because I would talk to God when I was a little kid, and I have all these kind of strange conversations. I would feel like I'm seeing people. So I think that thing about dance was also that it just gave me that connection. So, I've never been able to let it go.
And then at what age did you begin your journey into Kathak dancing?
At the age of 14.
Age of 14. Can you give us, for those of us who don't know, give us some background on what Kathak dance exactly is? When did it start? Mm-hmm. And how did it take the more modern form that it is today? In now?
Okay, so...
And its origin too.
Sorry?
Its origin too.
Its origin it started as storytelling. So when we look about 2,000 years ago, so we're looking at Aryan and Dravidian civilizations. So the concept of story. So the Brahmins, mm-hmm. who were educated in Sanskrit verse and shlokas and everything, and the people on the street were not, or the people in the communities were not. So what they would do, in the temples, there would be dancers who would be trained in the scriptures. And they would start moving as a community from one village to another. And they would be dancing out all the stories like Ramayana, Mahabharata. And then also, because there's so many gods in the Hindu mythology, it's like Greek mythology. There's so much of knowledge and so much of guidance and mentoring happening in it. So that's how they were educating from village to village, community to community, people in the banks of the river, people all around this area.
So it was started by religious
Storytelling.
people, and this was their way of promoting their religion and their beliefs.
Yes. And because it was an illiterate society. पढ़े लिखे नहीं थे ना. So the only way was, interesting enough, the only way they were being educated was through the performing arts. So it's through singing, through the dance, through the dancing out of the stories. So if I, like Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Maheshwara, this is Guru Brahma is the ultimate God who has all the knowledge. Guru Vishnu is the one who balances and holds on to maintaining. So they had all these, so that was the way they were educating people about maintaining balance, harmony. So they would pray to their gods like that. It was always through the music and dance. And the Brahmins, the people that used to go to the temples, there were also Devdasis in the 2nd century. And they were married off to the temples. So there's also the Bharatnatyam dancer of the south part of this area, and there's the north, which were the courtesans that came in the time of the Mughals. But again, they were not courtesans as courtesans. They were actually very educated women. So we have, this them being versed in poetry and Urdu and like a finishing school, music, dance, shairi. And here you had the Devdasi that was mastered the scriptures, and she was revered as a goddess. So if she ever went to a house to perform or something like that, they would look upon her as a goddess, even though she was never married otherwise. She was just married off to the temple. And she would earn her income from it. So she actually, at another level, was a very empowered woman. So then what happened, because the women could not go out on the streets, then the men used to play the female characters. औरतें नहीं नाचती थी रोडों पे, कोई, all males. So they would adorn the character of a woman. So if they're showing Radha and they're showing Krishna, these are the stories, the divine love pair. So they would also depict Radha. They would dress up like a female. And they would, show or if they were showing Sita, they would dress up like Sita. And they would look at, sometimes when I look at some of the characters we do now, it's amazing how a man can adorn a female's character much better than a woman can.
Oh, really?
That was quite amazing. I saw that so much in India. So going back to the history, so it just started growing like that and started bifurcating. So we have to look at, before it taking the shape of what Kathak is today, every classical dance has a root of folk dancing. And folk dancing means community, means storytelling. So the Ras Leela, again, these are very technical words, but Ras Leela is where Ras is like the rasa and telling the whole mythological story. They call it Ras Leela. And it's based around Krishna and Radha. So every there are 8 classical dance forms of India. And in that time, as they were developing. So the north started changing. Kathak is the only classical dance form of northern India.
Achha.
Baki jitne baki, Odisha is, Odissi dance is east coast, then you have south, then you have all Karnataka, all that belt has like 6, Satriya again is more towards the east. So you have, this is the only of the north, and you have east coast, then you have the south. So it's the only form because of the Mughal invention. Then all the Mughal aspects like Hazrat Amir Khusro in 14th century, the tabla was created from the mridangam. So how it started becoming different. The sounds changed. The chatra veena that was tuned by water. Suddenly Hazrat Amir Khusro brought in the keys. ये जो आपको guitar मिलता ना, this was created by Hazrat Amir Khusro.
Oh, really?
So the keys of the sitar, so he said कि भाई, if we go somewhere in the village and there's no water, then how do we tune our instrument? Being also a student of Nizamuddin Aulia, Hazrat Nizamuddin, who was a Kalandar, who was a spiritual Aulia, he was also a student of him, and he also was a musicologist, and he was a philosopher. And so he sat down and thought, he started playing around with how we could tune the string with not
sitar.
water but through the keys. So the sitar came about. And then uske baad se we started getting all the concept of the key. With the guitar, with the cello, with the violin. So you see how it's... So that also became a very strong part of Kathak. So sitar, tabla, gaiki, because of the Urdu, Central Asian, from Central Asia, the kings came in. They adorned, they also, उन्होंने अपनाया था कि हम हिंदुस्तान का जो culture है वो अपनाते हैं. So they had their Central Asian dancers, they had all the dancers, the Kathak dancers, the storytellers now. They started traveling into Delhi, into Agra, into Lahore, because this was where all the culture was. This was a Garh. This was like a...
the Mecca for...
Exactly, for all of them. And they would come here. So then lots of postures that were maybe like something like this, right? Krishna would become something like this, which is the Begum smile, which was the Mughal Begum.
Okay.
Or everything, something like this, that was the shield and the sword, changed into hands.
Okay.
So things, how they started changing, evolving. They thought the kings are not interested in...
So the religious storytelling became more of the storytelling
technique.
Remained, but more of also entertainment and femininity.
Technique. It developed a technique.
Yeah.
It developed a very clear technique.
So this all happened maybe about 500-600 years ago.
It happened.
Before that, it was just one
it was
sort of very storytelling and in a very specific way, and that was it.
It started evolving. Then the footwork. If you look at Arabic dance, the way they do the footwork and they do the clapping, that came into Kathak, because the Central Asian dance, then the Iranian dance, the Persian dances. So everything was happening in the court. So dance started taking, and then Maulana Room. If you look at Kathak, we take so many spins. Look at any other classical dance of South Asia. Spins nahi hai itne. Kathak spin, because again we have the influence of Turkey. Because the Mughal Empire, the Muslim Empire, Spain tak to fatah kiya. So if they conquered up to Spain,
must have gone through
can you
Turkey,
see the influence of our dance in flamenco?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Now when you start looking at it, you see that the influence has come from Kathak. The footwork, the way the costume is slightly more, and the way they hold their bodies, we hold the same in Kathak.
Yes.
It's all flamenco.
So in many ways, maybe at the time when the Mughals did come and conquer, what Kathak was developing into was sort of like a fusion.
Yes.
Because it was coming from all over, and
Absolutely.
different people were bringing in their different elements.
Absolutely.
And something new was being made.
Bilkul. It was evolving. If you look at the other styles, they're very staunch and rigid. I think Kathak is the only form that started evolving.
Is it still evolving?
It's still evolving, yes.
And the rest of the classical dances, they are still...
I find, because being a Kathak dancer, I find that I can take up a social issue, and Kathak lends to it much more easily, and to modern technique, And if you look at Bharatnatyam, which is very angular and very fixed, they're a little more, they're not that open to experiments like Kathak is. Kathak dancers will, because of the way that I think the journey has been of the style, that people have really started coming up with amazing themes in Kathak. I've done stuff like using my form, I did something called Parda, which is the journey of my journey as a woman in an Islamic country, right? Where, what does Parda mean? So I had this black cloth where I'm totally covered and I'm faceless and formless. And I'm just looked upon, and I'm trying to say in that, throughout that piece that I created, was that, why does society look at me as faceless and formless? And basically I have a soul, so it's not about my body. My last line in that piece was, it's not about my body, it's about my soul. So the eye, ये जो पर्दे की बात जो हम कहते हैं, आंखों में है, सोच में है, where is the parda? Is it just the woman, the way we look at the woman? She has to hide herself all the time. She has to hide herself all the time. So I was questioning that in my piece. And that I did through Kathak.
Briefly, can you tell us about some of the training that you've had?
I actually, we have a very famous Kathak dancer in Pakistan. Her name is Nighat Chaudhry. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of her. Nighat Chaudhry. She's my first guru from London. And she was here even through the time of the Zia regime. And she went to London in 1977. So I started with her. And then I went to India. I came back to Pakistan. And her guru, Ghulam Hussain Maharaj Kathak, I spent 3 years with him. And he said to me, you have to go to India because Pakistan mein nahi hai ab. Where you've gone, you'll just be going back to A. You need to go to India. So that's when I decided to go to India. So I was the only Pakistani that ever went to Kathak Kendra, which is India. It's the only school of Kathak and it's the best in the world. And the best gurus. I mean, the best guru. I was very nervous because, I had to be auditioned. So, my training was not, there were gaps in my training because I hadn't learned like an Indian had learned, right?
Where they devote themselves just
in the
completely
sense
and fully.
In Pakistan, and my guru had gaps in the sense that they were very, and I'm not being biased, but I'm being very honest, that the focus was, because of Pakistan, was about the Muslim aspect.
Okay.
So the other aspect, which is also part which makes the dance holistic, was not there. And I lacked that. I lacked the understanding of mythology. I didn't know about, the shlokas, and now I, know it like the back of my hand. But at that time, when they questioned me, Guru Vandana Dikhao, and I said, what's that? So it's like, I didn't know that, right? And then I remember saying, what do you know? And I said, I only know this. I can do technique, But they were very gracious with me, and I must say. And I actually, again, जो महाराज कथक थे जिन्होंने मुझे सिखाया था, बिरजू महाराज जी is the king of Kathak, मतलब the doyen, right? Lucknow घराना. So my guru, my Nana guru, Nahid Siddiqui's guru is my Nana guru when I came to Pakistan. Just putting things into context. So he had taught me something. तुम ऑडिशन के लिए जा रही हो ना, I'm going to teach you something जो मैंने अपने गुरु से सीखा, which मैंने बहुत कम लोगों को सीखा, मैं तुम्हें सिखाऊँ, तुमने ऑडिशन में करना. I said, okay. So I really worked on it, perfected it. So when I went for the audition, Biju Maharaj did my audition. And I was like really nervous because he's the king. If he says yes, you're in. If he says no, you're out. And I said, I'm a Pakistani. They're never going to take me. So I said to him, I know. He says, Guru Vandana, you don't know this. I said, no, I don't know this. He says, what do you know? I says, my guru taught me one thing to do at the audition. He said, Dikhao. And it was his father's, it was the thing that I had learned was something his father had taught my Nana Guru.
Wow.
So he was like,
where did you learn this?
तुमने ये कहाँ से सीखा? I was like, blown over. I didn't realize, the kind of, the jewel
Impact,
I had in my hand. At that time when I was learning, I was like, पता नहीं मुझे क्यों सिखा रहे. And he says, ये कहाँ से? ये तो मेरे बाबा की चीज़ है. तो मैंने कहा मुझे महाराज गुलाम हुसैन कथक नहीं कहते, उन्होंने मेरे बाबा से सीखा क्योंकि किसी के पास है. And I said, हाँ उन्होंने अच्छन महाराज जी से कहते, वो मेरे बाबा. So that's how I got in. I mean, he said, he saw the potential. He did say to me, ऐसा नहीं है मगर आपके gaps बहुत है. So I actually, in the whole 8 years, I was filling in my gaps. I was filling in that part of my training that did not exist. The theory. There's so much theory in Kathak we don't realize. The Natya Shastra, the book, which is the book of performing arts, it in detail it tells you, it's a book every actor, every musician, and every dancer should read. And I will gift that to you, by the way.
that would be
Because it tells you characters, what they look like, what their emotions are. इतना ज़्यादा detail में कि every artist should have that book. Because then that's what I never read. I didn't realize कि, you know, the subtle emotions of a character. What expression would they hold? How would their eyebrows move? How would the perspiration on the face come? मतलब इतने detail में I learned. So
how was your family reaction when you first told them that you are going to India for 8 years?
I was disowned for a long time from my family. My parents got divorced when I was very young.
Okay.
But I must say, there's another aspect of my life that I would like to talk about, which I don't usually talk about, but I think I've come to that age. I came from a very abusive childhood.
Okay.
My father was very abusive. He was a very strict man. So I think my dance
was one of your way out to that.
Plus, it was my healer. It was my, my ishq. So my soul was so scarred by a very, very aggressive father. And he used to beat us. He used to strip us naked and leave us in the snow. Very, very vicious things. And we, then my parents divorced because, Zahir itna zyada. I don't know what happened with my parents in that sense, but they divorced. So I was going back and forth between, in London, you have to get custody. Yeah. So either your mother keeps you or your father. So I used to run away to my mother. The police would bring me back and say, you have to stay with your father because he has your custody. Then I would say to him, why don't you fight for my cousin? And I was 9 years old. So this was happening and I was dancing and that was the only thing that was... I think my father never really took it seriously because he was never focused on us. He was like too in his own little world. And eventually my mother got my custody. So, and I got away from my father and everything. Then I think when he got married a couple of times after my mother. But my mother was a lot softer. She was a lot more supportive. She said, as long as you don't go to Pakistan, theek hai. The minute I said, main Pakistan ja rahi hu, I want to go to Pakistan. So when I came here, the whole family was like...
What are you doing, huh?
No, they threw me out of the house. They said, out. So I was out on the street in Lahore thinking, where should I go? And because I knew my Maharaj Kathak, I went to him and I said, they said, either you give it up and you stay with us. And I said, no. So they threw my suitcase out of the house. I said, "Theek, I'm not giving up my dance, no matter what happens." So then Maharaj took me to Salima Hashmi.
Oh, okay.
Then Salima Hashmi found me a place to be as a paying guest.
Okay.
So I moved in there. Then she found me a job because I needed to work. Obviously, I was needed to work my life.
Shoaib Hashmi have taught us economics.
Yeah. No, Salima ji was very... She says, supported me all the way. Then I was copywriting for an advertising agency called Trends Advertising on Jail Road. Okay. And I used to, when I went there for the job, I said, listen, I'm not going to work all day. I need to dance. So he says, no, we'll give you can work 3 hours a day and we'll pay you 5,000 rupees at that time. Okay. And I said, chalo, at least my rickshaw, jana, ana, all of that. So that's how crazy I was.
I do feel that there's a certain amount of trauma that is sort of necessary to blossom into whatever form that we choose. I mean, it doesn't have to be dancing. It could be economics. It could be science. It could be something. Because if the childhood is somehow too perfect and comfortable, a lot of times those people just don't have that courage or I guess courage is the right word.
The level of courage is lesser than them.
To really go into it, to go deep into it and to make the necessary sacrifices.
Absolutely.
To become really good at something that really speaks to them in the heart, whatever it is. So,
and I think pain...
Yeah, and pain trauma is what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's the greatest driver.
Absolutely. And it gives you hunger.
It drives, keeps you hungry.
Because one can learn all the skill and you could be very talented, but if you don't have the hunger, you're not going to get anywhere. And you cannot teach hunger.
It deepens because artists, I feel, there's something so invisible inside them as human beings that if they've experienced that kind of canvas, it becomes play. It's really interesting. I used to look at it as pain and, once you get out of victimhood and you start looking, I actually bless my parents now because if that didn't happen to me,
Exactly.
I wouldn't be the person
You
I
would
am
just
today.
maybe just an average person.
An
living
average girl would have got married, a
have
choti
kids,
girl,
and
no.
making tea for them, and
Exactly. So they were my gurus.
So when you came back to Pakistan, it was late 80s? I
Yeah,
believe?
it was 80. I came in the
So
time of
they-
martial law,
So
82.
at that time, there was no scope of all these things in
That I
Pakistan.
was
So
doing
why
it.
you chose Pakistan to go?
Because Maharaj Kathak was here.
Okay, because if you're
We were learning underground.
Okay.
Alhamra के basement में सीखते थे. And I used to go to his place and learn. Well, I
When
was
was
still
your-
learning.
When was your first performance in Pakistan?
Oh God, I think I performed with him as a student.
Okay.
Because what happened was that the German embassy in Islamabad was having performances. The American embassy was having. So we were performing on foreign turf, not on local. Because banned tha na. The dance was banned from 1977 right up to jab tak Benazir Bhutto nahi aayi. Dance was banned.
You had something to do with that,
Yeah.
right?
Even music was banned, everything was banned.
But
Other than movies,
no,
everything.
but dance, we must not forget that dance was on the edge because, dance is the worst sin, let's be honest, in the sense of the framework of the country. That dancing is considered,
Especially female dancing.
especially women dancing, right? So women from television were totally banned. Women on stage were totally banned. Dancing was fully
How
banned.
did you make that happen? How did you bring that change where dance was accepted again
Yeah.
on television?
It's very interesting because when Benazir came back and I was in and out of India and Rana Sheikh was PTV PTV के MD थी,
in MD,
if you
yeah.
remember. And she really was very close to me. So we started working out different performances and stuff like that. And I started, because she was connected to Benazir Bhutto. So then she said to me, come and sit in the meeting. ये diplomats का कुछ women's का होना perform कर दो. I said, okay. And I was in and out of India. And then I said to her, why don't we put a request to Benazir and tell her to, does she realize there's a ban on television? She goes, yes, you have to get a clearance from the Prime Minister. Then whatever we're doing, why should we just do it on stage? We should do it on television. So she said, let's do that. So I ended up going to Turkmenistan, traveling with Benazir Bhutto, representing Pakistan. Then we went to the Barbican again in 88 ke baad, when she came into her first term and second term. So every time I met her, I would say this: can you take the ban off from television? The dancing. She said, oh yes. She would call her ADC, wo jo nahi hote, look into this, because I kept saying it, take off allow us to be on television. And eventually,
That's how it happened.
which time it happened, I don't know. But then even Rana Sheikh herself, because she became MD, and I was saying this before she even became the PTV MD, because I was traveling with BB. I was traveling to America, we went to LA, and not just me, all the artists were there, but we were very lucky. Then I remember where I really dug my heels in was in Bhutto Saab ki anniversary thi, Larkana mein.
Achha.
And I was asked to create a ballet with 100 dancers and all around Bhutto's life. So I started picking up things like Hum Dekhenge, Habib Jalib, Main Nahi Manta. So I was weaving Bhutto's story through the poetry. And Bibi and Begum Bhutto were there. And when we finished, they called all the cast. Because it was in the cricket ground. Wo jo khula nahi hai.
This happened in Ladkana.
Ladkana. And we must have had around 25,000 people
Wow.
in that. And everyone was screaming, Anil Haq, Anil Haq. I started crying because I was so, and it was all about political liberation and,
So basically, आपकी वजह से जितना हम अब टीवी पे अगर कोई डांस देखते हैं, especially अगर कोई औरतें कर रही हों या फीमेल्स कर रही हो तो it's because of you and we should thank you for it.
Oh no. Thank God. I mean, I think I wasn't thinking of self.
I know,
I actually was thinking of the future.
But why we had so many dual standards? I mean, even in our regime, probably घरों में शादियों पे तो लड़कियां डांस करती थी.
सब कुछ हो रहा था.
Like, और I think
मुजरे हो रहे थे.
मुजरे हो रहे होते थे, और जो पंजाब क्लब या places like that, Sindh club, they used to have like all kind of
That's
parties.
our society. We live in a Hippocratic society.
Yeah.
Where that's what we are. I mean, people are drinking everywhere, people are
Yeah.
dancing everywhere, but we don't showcase it. We don't put it on TV. In fact, we both तस्वीर खींच लो, बोतलें छुपा लो, ये कर लो. That's
Even
और
like,
हमारा मसला यही है. एक मिनट, हमारा जो as a society I feel कि हम जो नहीं grow कर पाए ना, वो इसीलिए नहीं कर पाए because हमारे अंदर बहुत सी hypocrisy है.
Yeah.
हम ऊपर से कुछ बनते हैं, अंदर से कुछ हैं,
कुछ है.
और यहाँ तक कि इस हद तक कि हम अपने माँ बाप के सामने कुछ हैं,
हाँ बिल्कुल.
दोस्तों के सामने
बिल्कुल.
कुछ हैं. ठीक है, we even at home where we should be the most comfortable and
The most
us,
authentic self.
most authentic self, हम नहीं बन सकते क्योंकि वो बाप कहेगा तुम सिगरेट क्यों पी रहे हो, ये तुमने क्या पहना हुआ है, उधर क्यों जा रहे हो, ये दोस्त.
देखो, बाप, बहन, माँ या जो आपके बच्चे हैं ना, उनके साथ तो आपके कुछ चलो कंस्ट्रेंट्स आ जाते हैं. लोग यहाँ अपनी बीवियों के साथ नहीं होते.
हाँ,
आई नो लॉट ऑफ पीपल, उनकी बीवियों को पता ही नहीं कि उनका हस्बैंड शराब पीता
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
एंड दे आर सो गुड. Sometimes I feel कि यार कैसे
At
नहीं पता
lying.
चलता. I mean,
At lying and
they are lying and they are blind.
बिल्कुल.
Both. I mean, how can
But it's a lot to do with frequency. If a country has a certain frequency, a collective consciousness, then everyone gets locked into that consciousness.
Very true.
You see, and when you get out of the matrix, a lot of people like who become very aware, realize कि ये नहीं करना. It's not मेरे अंदर कभी था ही नहीं है. मैं कर ही नहीं सकती थी. Maybe I grew up in the West, I don't know. But I believe that collective, when you keep impressing the same kind of thought, okay, duality. This is duality, na?
Yes.
You're not in one. You're not in your one self. So if you're in duality, then obviously you're going to be, whether you're with your wife, whether with your child, whether 90% of that collective consciousness exists in Pakistan. It's a very dense energy.
It is.
I think it exists everywhere, but the frequency is different no matter where it is.
Yeah.
And it really is up to us as individuals to raise that consciousness by educating ourselves more, to be more tolerant, to learn more, to be more
But
open.
I think the West may, because more, this is, again, I'm talking by experience, there's still a sense of let be, right? And this is because I've lived abroad and I've lived in Pakistan, that whatever you're doing out there in the world, no one's looking at you. No one's really telling you, ye kya kar rahe ho? But if you're doing it here, you are scrutinized every second.
True.
All the time, especially if you're a woman. It's even
more
so. Even more so.
Yeah.
Even more so.
Yeah.
But even, I'm saying, if you're different, you go out on the street as a normal person, you'll be seen differently.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced that.
Yeah? So it's that.
People are mostly interested in others' business here.
But I also think that we have a lot of confusion within our upbringing of our values. देखो ना, अगर इस्लाम की हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो हम किसको follow कर रहे हैं? What Islam are we following? We have not had a
There's
proper...
so many now that you can't even choose one. It's hard.
Who are we following? And there's no education, there's no spiritual education. If there's just rigid Islamic education, there also has to be an understanding of the essence, which is the spirituality of the religion, which we don't have.
Not at all.
That's why people have become so rigid and hard.
Of these madrasas, all these kids over there who like वो जो हिफ्स करते हैं कुरान, मगर उनको
तोते की तरह.
हाँ, वो हिफ्स किया होता है.
So the knowledge
नहीं, because उन्होंने translation ही नहीं पढ़ा उसका.
And they brag about how they're hafiz and all that stuff without knowing anything.
So it's important, I think, to have that layer of awareness of what you, because then, Pakistan, unfortunately, has been taken over by military each time.
Yeah.
We've never been able to establish a proper democratic government. We've never been able to have political thought or growth. But then I know there's so many more powers that are involved in that. It's not just us as a country. There's so much more happening. Geographically, the way we're positioned as a country, you know, जिस खित्ते में जो ज़ख़ीरे हमारे पास हैं, resources. So I think, you know, we are a target even as a country. Then apart from the kind of knowledge that has come into the country, the kind of the Maulvis have hijacked us all.
Traditions and cultures
Traditions
and
and
things are also holding us back.
Yeah, because a lot of the culture, like if you go up north, I mean, ये जो सूद करते हैं पठान्स वगैरह का, and I'm not judging anyone, but again it's not Islam मना करता, मगर वो करते. So I think it's all customs, it's all cultural, it's all customs, it's not even religion.
सब कॉन्टिनेंट में जो रिलीजन आया ना वो यूजुअली यहाँ पर जो डिफरेंट सेंट्स आए हैं वो लेकर आए हैं, तो वो
I think they brought in the love and the
और वो टाइम टू टाइम जिस एरिया में गए उस एरिया में जो बहुत सारे ऐसी उनकी प्रैक्टिसेस थी ना जिससे उनको लगता था कि अगर हम हटाएंगे तो वो शायद इस्लाम में नहीं आएंगी, तो उन्होंने उसको अलाउ कर दिया. सो इवन दिस गुजरात साइड के जो मुसलमान हैं इंडिया पे, वो उनका ये बिलीव है कि सूद हराम नहीं है. सेम विद इन आवर नॉर्थ एरियाज, पठान हमारे करते हैं.
So I think there's a conflict of understanding. You know, when you bring things or let the human being have the choice. But then if you have a country that's illiterate, they will go by audio or by visual. So they will see or they will listen because they can't read. They can't make their own decisions. They're not given the awareness. They're not given the knowledge. They are bought by the knowledge. They're bought or they're conditioned.
I think the conditioning happens everywhere. I mean, no matter where you're born, there's some sort of conditioning that happens.
Oh, bilkul hai.
And most of us human beings can never get out of that conditioning. Even when we are given knowledge that differs from that conditioning, because it goes against us as our own entire beliefs, our own reality, our everything. So it's very hard. So what do you think we can do as people to become better people and in turn a better nation and in turn better human beings for the whole world?
और आपको लगता है कभी होगा पाकिस्तान में?
There's some, you know, to be very
honest, you have seen like different phases of Pakistan.
There are amazing people here. ऐसी बात नहीं है. मतलब I just feel that you attract who you वो जिस vibration पे आप होते हैं ना, आप वो attract करते हैं. I really believe in energy, right? The concept of energy, that wherever you're vibrating, you will pull that person into your experience because maybe they're vibrating at that energy somewhere. So whatever you experience in your life, like I know if I look at my maid at home, she will pull into her experience the vibration of the people. That's why if the vibration doesn't change or the awareness doesn't come, that they will always be stuck there. Okay? So I'm very aware of that. And I have known people who are totally uneducated and are so spiritual and so wise. So what is that? You know, I mean, I'm observing. I don't want to judge anything, but I'm observant about that. कि अच्छा ये शख्स क्यों इतना ज़्यादा वो है? So it's something to do with the faith. It's something to do with the spiritual connection they have because they're connected to Shahbaz Qalandar. They're connected to Baba Bulle Shah. You know, the people are connected to the spiritual realm. I find that, or they have a murshid. Like I've had a murshid. He came into my life when 1997 mein aaye the. So and he was a Qalandar. And a Qalandar is totally different to a Wali and they're on a different level. Like they break the law. You know, they literally, and they totally, लगता कि ये बिल्कुल शिरक कर रहे हैं because everything they do is ulta. You know, when you look at Rumi's master, who was a Qalandar, Shams Tabriz was a Qalandar. So my master was a Qalandar. And, you know, I've attracted people because I'm like that. Now I'm in a different, I think I'm breaking the law as the so-called law in every part of my life, you know, because I don't function like that. I don't think like that. And I've attracted my master into my life. And then he made me realize कि नहीं तुम ठीक हो, सही कर रही हो. Because तुम्हें truth का पता चल रहा ना, it's being revealed to you. So you need to follow it. Do you want to be like that? And you're not responsible for the world. You're not you're responsible for yourself. The journey is you. But if you can bring love and healing and understanding and empathy, फिर आप इंसान होते हो ना. अगर मैं हर वक्त सोचूं कि अच्छा तुम्हारे पास शौर नहीं है, तो मैं इसको प्यार तो दे सकती हूँ ना. I can bring healing to them. I can bring comfort to them in other ways. So I think that is humanity. You don't have to be so educated or a certain class or
मेरे पास वहाँ की degree है, I'm superior
no,
than
that doesn't
everyone.
make me anything
Yeah,
better than any,
absolutely.
right? With the people around me, because with my master, with Sayyid Saftar Ali Kalandar Baba, मेरे मुर्शद हैं, तो उनके साथ हम तो, when I first met him, I used to wear heels and jeans and I was very modern. तो वो लोहारी में रहते थे, तो मुझे कहते थे कि चलो आज गश्त करने जाएंगे. ऐसे वो क्या है, रोडों पे घूमेंगे. And I'm wearing these, I was obviously very Western, and he used to call me मेरी 5-star kaki. मेरी 5-star kaki, because I was very modern, and all the other women were around him were very kind of very desi and things like that. But I loved them all. I mean, they were all amazing. So eventually, a Kalandar will never tell you you're wrong. He will never say to you कि ये गलत, because they don't believe in that. So they have their own way of bringing you. And I would never eat on the road. I'd never been in a tanga. So मेरी नफ़ी की ना, it brought me down. And he said कि अच्छा चलो आज गश्त करते हैं. Let's go for a गलियों में चलते हैं. And obviously I was like really uncomfortable. Like, the first thing I did, I took my shoes off. नंगे पैर हो गई. बाबा जी मुझे देख रहे हैं. कुछ नहीं कहा उन्होंने. कहते चलो चुप भी रहे, सब कुछ उनको पता. It's very interesting. It reminds me of the journey of Rumi and Shams. What he did to make him come down, right? Took his ego away. Then he said to me, इधर ना ये जो बंदा है ना, इससे खाना खाएंगे. मक्खी भी है, सारा कुछ. बाबा जी इधर से खाना है, इधर से खाएंगे. अच्छा ठीक है, okay. So, but the more I did it, I realized that the kind of barriers and filters we have that we self-created. मैं कोई बीमार तो नहीं हुई, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. And I started loving the people around me. Because, I had a filter of, मैंने रिक्शे में नहीं बैठना. We grew up with those kind of things. I never grew up here. So, but he broke it all. रिक्शे में बैठो, टांगे में बैठो, बस में बैठो. I never sat in a bus. So he took me on a bus and he got me to connect to the people. So that was where I think my filter and I...
So, can we talk a little bit, Apna, you've covered your background and all of your knowledge and so much. Can we talk about what is being done right now as far as performing arts? Because इतने लोग हैं जो कोई भी डांस अगर सीखना चाहें या एक्टिंग सीखना चाहें तो कोई जगह नहीं है, बहुत मुश्किल जगह है. So what do we have right now and what are we developing for the future?
और जैसे म्यूजिक के काफी सारे घराने हैं जो सिखाते हैं, तो क्या डांस के हैं कोई घराने ऐसे जो?
नहीं, घराने तो हैं. मतलब we have like Lucknow, Jaipur. We have all the gharanas. In Pakistan, like I'm Lucknow and Jaipur. Okay. We do have dance.
Like in institutes or
we don't
places,
have, we have the artists.
वो जो घराने वो उसको कुछ सिखाते हैं, वहाँ पर क्लासेस वगैरह कराते हैं बच्चों को.
नहीं, मतलब what I feel is happening is there are the artists. There is no infrastructure. What lacks is the infrastructure. Like if I'm a dancer, you're a director, you're an actor, someone's a musician. So what's the infrastructure around it? There's no infrastructure.
Nothing, yeah.
Right? And that's what happens is that your performing arts does not get organized. It's all sporadic. It's random. Ab जैसे colony has come up, right? The colony has started, it's a hub now, right? It's become but it's private. It's not government. It's happening. They're doing it through, their जिस तरीके से कर रहे. But if you look at places like that are our institution, what have they done? What has the Pakistan National Council of the Arts done, which is in Islamabad? What has the Ministry of Culture done? What about the NCA? Where are the performing arts part of it? See, what's happened is this is my feeling, is that we've got a fashion university. You can go and get graduated in fashion. Film and TV, you can still that can still happen for you. Fine arts mein hai. But what about performing arts, music, dance, acting? These three things, which are the main areas of your performing, hai hi nahi.
So there is no government institute which offers these subjects.
Where kahan pe? But the Karachi Arts Council is now kind of developing themselves with, they've started dance classes, they have music, and I've been telling them that they're developing diplomas now. Because you've got to, I feel you need to bring your students to a syllabus. Why? Why do we need a syllabus?
So they have a direction to
They
follow.
have a focus, and there's a goal and there's an outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Art, then once you've done that, then you're free to do what you want. But there are certain parameters you have to follow so the gaps are not there in your learning. So what happens is we don't have syllabuses. देखो हमारे जो उस्ताद लोग पढ़ाते हैं या सिखाते हैं सालों साल एक ही राग पे लगाए रखते हैं. Why do we not have artists? Because even our classical musicians or singers, they're not giving the work. And it's so sporadic that the student himself or herself does not know कि मुझे क्या सीखना है. मुझे ये राग सीखना है, इसकी ये ठाट है, ये ताल है, ये इसकी ठुमरी है, ये गज़ल है, ये फ़लाँ है, ये ख़याल है. क्या सीखनी मुझे? उसको खुद ही नहीं पता. Because the guru has not told them. So why has a place like India flourished? Because they put everything down. What should you be learning in your first year? Ye raag, ye taal, ye cheez aani. Second year mein ye. We don't have any of that. Maybe Napa's the only place.
अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं?
We're not doing
anything
that.
at all?
It's got worse. Even though we say acha na bada, what's opened up? Social media, YouTube, everything's accessible. Dance bhi dekh lo, hip hop bhi dekh lo, salsa bhi dekh lo, everything, music dekh lo. The accessibility is all there. I mean, so much of classical dance you can see now on Instagram or on YouTube. You just click and you can see anything. Yeah. So what's happening? All the students, the young students, are becoming parrots again. So what they're doing is they're emulating, the Bollywood or the shows that they have, the ZTV shows or the children's shows jo wo karte hain na, dance diwane ya the competitions. So they're just copying them, they're emulating. Again, those kids have learned,
but there's no structure behind it,
and there's no individuality. Where is the uniqueness in yourself? We're not creating an infrastructure where you come out as a unique individual artist who has something to show. Why are we creating parrots all the time? We're emulating. Isko kar le, that boy is b-boying like that. Let's copy them.
आजकल ये चल रहा है.
ये चल रहा है बस,
आपने नहीं सोचा कभी कि कोई इंस्टीट्यूट बनाए या जिससे आप
अपना
ये सारा आर्ट आगे ट्रांसफर करें?
तो आपको क्या लगता है मैं क्या कर रही हूँ?
You're a one-woman institute.
I mean, what I used to say in Zia's time, and this is something that came to me. I said, wherever I go, I'm the institute. Because there's no infrastructure. So in my house right now in Lahore, I have a studio.
You have.
I'm teaching. I've been teaching for years. I was teaching at Beacon House. I was teaching at Lahore Grammar School. I gave Lahore Grammar School a syllabus. Okay, let's teach the kids from grade 1 to grade 6. We structured a Kathak syllabus and gave it to them. Right? Okay. And now I'm like at Habib University. I've given them an elective, which I've designed this program for them, a course which is called an Introduction to the Dance Art Forms in Pakistan. Okay. That's one of the courses. The other course is Performing Narratives, where we're doing dance theatre Kathak. It's never been done. Now the Arts Council in Karachi has asked me to head the dance department and bring in, because what I brought to Pakistan is jo Kathak ka syllabus hai na, four of my students, for the first time in the history of Pakistan, have given their first grade and they've come out with distinction.
Wow.
4 of my online exams. But I taught them the syllabus. And the Indian examiner.
Online? You mean But they have to perform and you like somehow
No,
show them.
I've been teaching them. Right, grade 1, they've been 1 year, 4 students, first students because I brought the syllabus in. So I taught the syllabus. I had to sign up.
This syllabus has been created by you, or
No, it's created by a proper Kathak examining board in London.
Okay.
So I collaborated with them and I said, "Ye mujhe syllabus de, main padha dungi."
Alright.
I want my students to do it. So what happened was the only exam. There are 2 kinds in London that are happening, and they're all been okayed by the guru, Kathak gurus of India. So the other syllabus was online. The exam was online.
The theory part of it.
Both of it. I'm teaching theory and practical.
No, but how do
the
they-
exam
Acha, wo aap-
is done online.
No, but is there somebody watching their performance
Yeah.
online? Okay, that's what I'm.
Oh yes, sorry, no, yeah. There's a proper like a Zoom.
Ah.
There's a
There's
Zoom
a Zoom
session.
where they're
There's an
looking at- 'cause you can't
examiner.
just
The
all be
examiner,
theory.
yeah, the examiner is there, and
And they're watching the performance live.
they ask them questions about the theory. What does this mean? What does this mean? अच्छा हमें 3 ताल दिखाइए. अच्छा हमें तत्कार दिखाइए.
Okay.
अच्छा
And it's all live.
It's all live.
Wow, that's amazing.
So 4 of my students for the first time in the history of Pakistan, and they all came out with distinction.
That is amazing.
very nice.
So I think that's
These
where
are all girls. Who?
they're all girls. Yeah. I mean, I've taught a lot of kids. I think, mashallah, I've been teaching for the last 20 years.
Do you,
But it's been schools.
do you think Kathak is still alive and flourishing, or is it dying, or all of these old art forms are sort of on the decline now?
I think there's in Pakistan, it's on the decline. I have to admit to that.
While other dances, forms of dance are being, are flourishing, this particular.
I tell you what's flourishing. Which is sad, because what's flourishing is like the Hum TV Awards shows,
yeah.
right?
That's not really dancing, you know.
But there you said that. But try telling them. Okay, so the Hum TV Awards, Lux Style Awards. So all these glamorous shows where they're item numbers. But difference between knowledge
Yeah.
and item
I know.
is zameen asman ka fark.
यही चीज मैं acting में देखता हूँ.
हाँ.
Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, my mentor is a legendary teacher, and I've been studying with her for so many years, and that's what I see in acting too. Is, you know, the acting that we know and that we're really moved by is something completely different than what you would see on a drama here. And then हम उन लोगों को इतना ज़्यादा वो सर पे चढ़ा लेते हैं कि जो लोग हैं वो समझते हैं कि यही this is the ultimate.
Is this that?
और जो नहीं है, जैसे आप बात कर रही हैं कि जो हम टीवी पे देख के कहते हैं ओ मुझे डांसर बनने का बड़ा शौक है, मैं भी ये कर सकती हूँ, ये कर सकता हूँ. It's not really dance. People have dedicated 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of 70 years of their lives into this to learn just a little. And
Just
they don't
imagine.
consider themselves anything at
I
all.
just, even today, I say, I've just taken a drop from the ocean.
Exactly.
And itta ilm hai. There's so, you see, how can you, true art comes from really delving in.
And being really
And really
humble
knowing.
about it.
Yeah, ek to it makes you humble. Even if it will make you humble.
Because the amount of knowledge that's out there.
You can't
When
say.
you really go seeking it.
When you really go in, it will humble you.
100%.
Because you will say, yaar, ye to itna there's so much knowledge. You know, today I say, oh, but I still want to understand this. I want to take a course. Still seeking. So the guru or the seeker, even though you become a guru, but you will always remain the student. But it's because you're getting more and more knowledge about it. And the way that and I'll tell you another thing is very interesting. I'm sure when you teach, your students are teaching you.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
They are the reverse guru. So when my student is doing a movement, and I'm saying, you know, that looks so amazing on her body. I wonder how it would look. I wonder if we, you know, so the dimension changes and they do something and I think, you know, I never thought of it like that. That could be used in
a new
choreography.
perspective, a new way.
So it can only happen. We are, unfortunately, Lux Style and all these are just, you know, totas and parrots. The ilm is not there. Nobody wants to, you know, the span. We were talking about this a little time ago, where people are not willing to give that whole sense of self to learning something. quick. जल्दी सीख ले हम गुरु बन जाए, जल्दी सीखे हम फेमस हो
Result
जाए,
आ जाए, बस
रिजल्ट
views
आ
आ
जाए,
जाएं,
बस
likes आ
मैं
जाएं,
फेमस हो
followers
जाए,
हो जाएं, exactly.
मैं पैसे कमाने लग जाऊं. And I don't think I've ever thought about the money aspect. I used to always feel, if I have a gift from God, then the money will come because of that gift.
Yeah, very true.
I will never, ever sell the gift because I want the money. The gift is so powerful, it to bring in the...
Yeah.
It should be that. It is that powerful. And I know that power of art. So, whether I live in this, whether I live in this, whatever will come, I will live with that because the art is so powerful. It's bigger than the human being. हम तो चले जाएंगे, the art will remain. We're the carriers. We carry, जब तक आपके अंदर है, then someone else will carry it. We will go. The art will keep there. Will always been there right from the beginning. We're just carriers. We're just अल्लाह के बर्तन हैं जिसमें ये हमें अल्लाह पाक ने कहा चलो ये तुम्हें मैंने गिफ्ट कर दी, आप करो इसको अच्छी तरह से, ईमानदारी से करो, live it fully, experience it fully. Because I think, a creative God is created, I think he's an artist, really, to be very honest, more than anything else.
100%. अच्छा, अभी आपने ये बात की और कि अल्लाह भी artist है, and I believe that God is a creator, and we say that we've been created in his image. So then we are creators as well.
Yeah.
Right? And it is important for us to create, and it's important for us to take chances and do what we are really good at or we're destined to do. So for example, मैं ये believe करता हूँ कि जो the greatest worship जो है ना हमारी, वो ये है कि हम सब के अंदर God ने gift दिया हुआ है. जिस तरह Einstein कहता है ना, we're all geniuses, but if you try to measure the ability of a fish to climb a tree, it's going to think all its life that it's stupid. Right? So हम सब के अंदर एक gift है, and it's our job to find out what it is and then to pursue that, hone it, and then give it away.
Give it
So
back,
for example, अगर कोई सिंगर है, अल्लाह ने उसको आवाज दी है, तो उसका काम है कि उसको सीखे, उसको होन करे और फिर लोगों के लिए गाए, बांटे. अगर किसी के अंदर फाइनेंस है या किसी के अंदर एथलेटिसिज्म है, तो उसको होन करे और फिर उसको खेले. और इससे बड़ी इबादत जो है वो नहीं है. कुछ आपने भी ऐसी बात की थी एक दफा, तो आपको बड़ा क्रिटिसाइज किया उन्होंने. So मैं भी अब बड़ा एक चांस ले रहा हूँ इस टाइम, बट तो आप बता सकती हैं कि क्या हुआ था?
असल में ना 96 में वर्ल्ड कप हो रहा था पाकिस्तान में, अगेन बेनज़ीर का दौर था. So we had finished this performance, it went so well, and obviously the journalists came and started hounding me and kind of interview, yeah. And I think I had done a play on television, which NTM, if you remember that time, it was just NTM.
Yeah.
And I did my first acting assignment with NTM, where I was playing a Bengali girl who was a dancer, and it was called Megh Malhar. It was Asif Razami, and it became a big hit. I didn't realize
I think I remember that play.
Yeah, it really took
off. It was
off.
a very, very big hit back.
A very different, way of. So, and that had so the journalists suddenly hounded me because I had been announced that I got the Best Actress award for that year, and I didn't even know. So they were all hounding me. I was wondering, what ye kya ho raha? For the performance. Then one of the journalists said to me, so what do you think? आपके लिए रक्स क्या है? तो मैंने कहा रक्स मेरा इश्क है, रक्स मेरे लिए इबादत है मेरी. So I said this and went home. I was staying at the PC in Lahore. The next morning, the journalists totally, the Urdu Akhbar, they picked up this thing and said कि निघत चौधरी को नमाज से ज़्यादा रक्स में सुकून मिलता.
Oh, so they twisted your words completely.
They totally twisted. It was, and they said इसको फतवा लग गया, इसको संसार कर दिया जाए, इसको हिंदुस्तान भेज दिया जाए, इसको ये कर दिया जाए. They smashed my windows in Karachi. My cook was beaten up. It was like, it was horrific. It was quite, thank God that I stood my ground. And I had, at that time, Benazir Bhutto, the foreign, the जो वो थे,
Information
Secretary Hussain Haqqani Saab. He said, he called me up and I told him कि Karachi में ये हो गया. He says, you better leave the country. I said, I'm not leaving the country. I'm going to face it because I didn't say it. I said, can we have a press conference? He said, are you up for it? I said, yeah. I'm not, because whatever if I ran away from this situation, I would have endorsed the fact that they're right and I'm wrong.
Yeah. And you would have always be running from it.
And I'd always be running. So I said, no, face it. So we had that and the journalists, I said, dekhe, at the press conference, and I said, listen, did I say this? मैंने तो ये कहा था. ये जो आपके headlines पे ना show, I said, this is not what I said. And they all did an apology.
Wow, that
because
was
they realized कि मैं सच बोल रही हूँ. If I went away and never took up this quest, कभी सच्चाई नहीं आती बाहर.
Normally पाकिस्तान में इस तरह की चीजें जरा कम ही होती हैं कि वो retract करें या apologize करें.
I don't know, I think, when you're on truth, कहते हैं ना गर्दन भी उड़ जाए तो हक पे तो रहना. वो तो मेरा इश्क था, मेरा तो डांस था ना. So I was fighting for my dance as well, कि no, you can't misuse the art, to attack. I mean, I think because there was a political thing going on, Benazir was successful with the arts, dances on television. There was a whole maybe section of society that wasn't happy with the fact that we had performances happening, qawwaliyan ho rahi, Nusrat Ali Khan sabki performances ho rahe, theatre ho rahe, everything became suddenly so vibrant. And I think that was not what they wanted. So it was maybe a way of attacking. But I did not back down.
Good that you didn't.
No way. No way.
So other than dancing, what's your क्या आपके शौक हैं या आप क्या hobbies हैं?
I love to read. I'm a movie buff. I love watching movies.
किस किस्म की movies?
It's very, I think when I was much younger, I don't know if you've seen movies like Sliding Doors and
Sliding Doors, I think.
Yeah, it's very interesting where
two different lives.
One
incident.
एक second के फर्क से what changes in life. Movies like that.
Who's your best actor?
Who's my favorite actor? Oh God, I don't think I have one.
Top 5, top 3.
Keanu Reeves has been my favorite.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I don't know, there's something about him as a person as well. I think
it's more about the person than the actor.
No, even the kind of work he's done. Maybe because I know that background about in that affiliation. Again, it's a very personal thing. But I don't know. I can't think of anyone right now.
वो अच्छी किताब आप मुझको बता सकें कि जो सबको पढ़नी चाहिए.
I think I'm a person who reads spiritual books more. Self-help, self-growth. I've been on a quest of healing the self. I think, I'm a person who meditates a lot. I do yoga, I meditate. I sit in silence a lot. I follow a lot of courses that are around developing the self. I spend, apart from practicing, sikhana, I'm doing a lot of online classes. I'm also developing another course. I also want to start going to dance therapy. So I'm exploring movement as a way and a mode of healing. I'm also researching on Dhamal and Rumi's whirling. So I'm kind of, I'm resonating there. I'm doing a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of kind of studying the chakra system. I don't know whether you know about the chakra system.
Chakra system is the nature chakra system?
The 7 chakras of the body and the whole thing about the aura and, kafi study kar rahi hu. And the female archetypes. I've been reading up a lot about the divine, masculine, feminine, masculine. So there are a lot of courses online. So on and off, I tend to just go on a master class. I'm still trying to discover.
ये चीजें आप अपने students को भी सिखाती हैं other than just the skill of dancing?
Oh, yes.
So you're also training their mind to be more open, to be more accepting?
I've never just been a dance teacher. Never. Because I think what happens is I naturally gravitate towards that. I naturally come because when a body comes in front of me, I see the soul. And then I see what the pain through the body. So if there's something happening in the body, in the soul, I'll see it through the body. So I can't but help. And they kind of open up with me. I mean, recently, one of my students online in the USA, I won't take any names, but there was a big issue that she was having, and I just felt it, and I started talking about it. And she started crying and crying, and I knew I was helping her release it. And then I sent her a meditation, and I said, it's called the pain body meditation. So I said, I want you to feel what we've just spoken about, and do it for 21 days, and release that part of your childhood that you've, and because I'm like that, I give मैं meditation भी कराती हूँ अपने students को.
So you Eckhart Tolle and Abraham
Yeah, I'm
Hicks
very, yes.
and all these people.
Well, I've read them all, I'm very...
So you're also a therapist in many ways for your students.
I think I am, in the sense that I'm a spiritualist.
Yeah.
And I feel that because I've been through so much, so I know that what it feels like. So when they're talking about what they're going through, I can feel it. So I cannot, but it naturally मेरे अंदर आता कि अच्छा, let's do this. अच्छा, why don't you do this? Why don't you?
But
it
you
naturally
also
comes.
sense whatever is...
Oh, I'm very intuitive. I read energy.
Is inhibiting them from being their best version.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of times just something very psychological and sometimes very something
psychosomatic.
Basic.
It's society. And I think another thing is that I've always naturally been a healer, I think. Maybe I disown it somewhere because it's a huge responsibility. But I think I'm a natural healer. My students sometimes say, "Aapko kaise pata?" I will say things like, and bang on, I've said exactly what the situation is. Something that I go and I connect to that collective information. And when I say it, they get shocked. Like, there are times when I can tell them, unke ghar mein, your mother has this pain in her stomach. And I haven't even met the mother. But through her, I'm reading it. And she said, "Aapko kaise pata?" I said, "Pata nahi mujhe. मैं focus कर रही हूँ यहाँ पे. Someone in your house is not well." And she says, "Yeah, my mother." I says, "उनका कोई पेट का मसला है?" फिर हाँ, उनको हाजमे का problem. So, I'm just like...
You're just channeling just
and I don't actually...
trusting your intuition to guide you, to give you whatever. Because at that point, I'm sure even you don't know what you're about to say.
I swear to God.
It's just coming. You're just a vessel to heal that student.
I swear to God, yeah. That's so... Totally... You've put it absolutely. I have no idea of where it's coming from.
You write as well sometimes?
No, not really, no.
कभी आपने सोचा नहीं कि बुक आप खुद भी लिखें?
Since
you know a lot.
I did start writing about my journey with my master. मेरी जो मुर्शिद है, मेरी जो मुर्शिद है, जो मेरा सूफी जो मुर्शिद थे. And then I was at the Mazar and I would sit and I was writing with my laptop. उनकी मच होता ना, there's a mach where they light. So I used to, sit there.
Achha, so we've covered so much. You've had such an amazing life where you've traveled, you've done something that you really want to do passionately. Most people never get that opportunity, or they don't create that opportunity, or they don't risk it where you have.
Don't have courage to do that.
You've met people and been affiliated and associated with people at the highest levels in the world. So at this point now, with all your knowledge and experience, what do you think the purpose of life is, and why are we here?
Oh,
I know.
Very loaded questions. I don't think I can actually fully answer that because I think everyone has their own purpose.
But for you?
But for me, I think that the recycling of the soul, the fact that वैसे तो topic बहुत बड़ा है ना, which I could go on and on. Because when I look about the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and I look at from the concept of Allah or God or Supreme or whatever, source, whatever anyone wants to call it, that he brought himself in Jamal and Jalal. He brought himself in feminine and masculine, right? Where the whole of creation started. And how we're being recycled and recycled and recycled. So we've forgotten the beginning of the perfection of who we are as a holistic Jamal or a holistic Jalal, So let's say yin and yang. Let's talk about Chinese philosophy. In Sufism, they would call it Jamal and Jalal. In English, they would call it, feminine, masculine. So that whole, we all have that inside us. We have a feminine and a masculine. So that, I feel like the whole purpose of remaining in that balance, or always finding the centering of that existence of us as people, because the Jamal is the soft, the Jalal is that energy, that yang, yin and yang that you need to go out and get things done and to drive after what you need to
accomplish.
What's pushing you, what you want to accomplish. So I think that the beginning of existence was perfect. And then it went out of sync. And this recycling of it is that, I've murdered somewhere. I was a male somewhere. Maybe I was a kid somewhere in all the recycling of my life. This is what I feel. I'm just telling you. So my purpose, I feel in this life, very interesting. I've either, because we've either hurt someone or we've been hurt. We've either been victims or we've made people victims.
Both, I would say.
We've done both now throughout our lives. So I feel, and I could be totally, it could resonate with nobody. But I just feel that somewhere when I look at it this lifetime, because I have developed a lot of awareness, that somehow I'm kind of cleaning that all up.
For you?
I feel that there's a cleaning going on and there's a refining going on. Because I think the perfection that where we would drop down into imperfection. We would drop down to the opposite of the perfect, right? So the whole of our lives we're owning that imperfection, and we've also kind of been victims of that imperfection, throughout existence. So I feel that the main purpose, if I look at it from one perspective, is to give service and love. When I look at it from a very simple perspective, there's nothing as great as love. There's nothing as great as service. We all here giving service. Tell me one person that's not giving service. हर कोई दे रहा. माँ अपने बच्चे को दे रही है. मियाँ अपने बीवी को दे रहा. बीवी अपने मियाँ, everyone in any relationship is giving a service to each other. Not in a wrong thing, in a very positive context. And the whole balance of that, either you're giving too much or you're giving too less. So the conflict comes. Either you become attached or you become judgmental. Then the conflict comes.
Life is a balance between holding on and letting go.
And letting go. So I feel that's the purpose of it, to understand that concept.
But do you think it's also of raising our vibration, our consciousness, and to be better with time? So for example, so within us is DNA. DNA stores information, right?
बिल्कुल.
So हमारी फिजिकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स तो नजर आ जाती हैं कि ये इसका जो नाक है, इसके दादा की ऐसी नाक होती थी, इसकी आंखें इसकी ग्रेट ग्रैंडमा पे गई हैं. बट जो हमारे इंटरनल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं वो नजर नहीं आती. So for example, if somebody was bitten by a spider a long time ago, not somebody but their ancestor, and today they would have arachnophobia for no reason without knowing, that is stored in their DNA. So इस तरह हमारे अंदर कई चीज़ें हैं stored जो हमें पता ही नहीं है. ठीक है, वो कुछ होता है तो वो they come to surface. So do you think we've also come to heal those things, the traumas of our ancestors within us, and thus becoming better souls, because our body's going to wither and become dust?
देखो, in a simple way, हमारे मुर्शिद की बात थी जो मुझे याद आ रही, कि नूर को नूर में मिलना है, मिट्टी को मिट्टी में जाना है.
बिल्कुल सही.
So that made sense to me. So you will only go back to the light
when you become when
you become the light fully.
And if you're not, you'll
recycle. You'll come back.
It's like a spiral.
Because he will say, sorry, you're not fully pure yet.
Yeah.
You still have
work to do.
Work to do. Go back.
So Noor is the soul in this case, and the
so
mitti is
what
body.
you said,
It is everything. It is really everything. Nothing.
So the minute, because mitti is with the soil now, it's not going to go there. It's going to be, so that separation that takes place, that the soil will go in the concrete part and the soul will go back to its creator. We will go back to the creator. So until we don't, that's why it's a university of recycling, and like you said,
We're not human beings having a
realigning
spiritual
and
experience.
vibrating to the highest frequency we can be to get absorbed back into the light. Because if we're not vibrating at that frequency, how will we get absorbed back into? This is what I do believe in. Yes.
No, I totally understand that. I mean, even if you look at it scientifically,
Yes.
everything is energy.
Bilkul.
All energy is in vibration. It's, it's traveling in a certain frequency. And Nikola Tesla, Nighatha, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Vibration.
And
that's
that's
it.
what it's
It's
really
all
all
that.
about.
I mean, Allah is Noor.
Allah is Noor.
God, source is light.
Exactly.
ठीक है? You
And
sometimes
it's energy. We don't really know what that is.
what we don't, but it's energy and it vibrates.
It's a form of energy,
Yeah.
and all energy is vibrating. It's just on a
Vibrating.
different vibration
Yeah.
that we're not at.
So when that vibration in us stops and it goes out of us,
But it's part of it. Like I feel
That the
it's not
body-
disconnected.
No,
we're not
no.
disconnected. It's
No,
not-
no, no.
Islam में भी है
बिल्कुल.
ना कि खुदा आपके शारक से भी ज़्यादा करीब है. वो इसीलिए because we're made of the same thing.
bilkul. I just feel that we are, we're looking outside of ourselves when everything is in.
एक
Is
और-
within.
बिल्कुल
It's
सही
within.
बात की है. जिस तरह वो रूमी कहता है कि we're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop.
Yes.
But here's another point I would like to bring up that I feel that most of us are not aware of. Is that when you were born, जब आप पैदा हुई, it wasn't your choice. You were just born in this form as you are, and then you looked in the mirror and you said, okay, this is who I am, right? इसी तरह जब कोई जानवर पैदा होता है, कोई bug पैदा होता है, कुछ होता है, उसकी भी यही है. It's not his choice, it's choice to be born the way it is. So हमारा ये है, हम अपने आप को बड़ा वो समझते हैं कि we are the best of the best and we're better than these animals.
Yeah.
We don't really know that. Trees could be better than us because वो किसी को hurt नहीं करते. They're giving life by giving oxygen, by giving carbon dioxide.
They're giving more
for-
service than we
more
are.
service than we.
Yeah.
अगर हम दुनिया में देखें, हम सारा कुछ तो शैतानों पे blame कर देते हैं कि शैतान ये करा रहा है, शैतान वो कर रहा है. But if we really look at it, this is human beings doing this.
It's human beings.
इंसान ने सब किया है, obviously.
Exactly. So we need to take responsibility for ourselves, for the entire human
Bilkul.
nation,
Absolutely, we
human
have
world.
to. We have to. That's the whole problem, is that we don't.
ये समझ कैसे आएगी?
Education.
नहीं, ये education.
Not educational.
एजुकेशन से नहीं, आप ये एक स्कूल में नहीं सिखा सकते. आई थिंक जैसे आपने बात की ना कि कई लोगों के अंदर देयर इज दिस डिजायर टू लर्न बिकॉज यू डिडंट create the desire was in you,
put in
and then you went out to seek it, and that's when the universe and gave you
Created those.
जैसे वो alchemist
It
में
lined it up. Everything is lined up for you.
जैसे alchemist में कहता है, once you decide you want to achieve something or get something,
The
the
universe
will conspire to make it
to
happen.
bring it, because it's vibration. The universe. One thing I'm absolutely clear about is whatever emotion you give out, the universe will give equal and opposite back. So if I'm a depressed person, all my circumstances that will be brought back to me, because it's energy, because of the match, the vibration, it will be exactly the same. The minute, as a kid, when I was very negative and very, in a dark place, the minute I started switching, and I started understanding this concept, I need to switch this concept of, so I have to vibrate within the light, within happiness, within joy, within, start. So I would dip and I'd come back. I would dip and I would come back. So, and then I started going high and staying in those states. And my life changed. Everything changed. Being an artist was a struggle. And I was attracting very difficult stuff. Then I realized, what am I doing? So when I started reading, books that were telling me this, then I realized I need to vibrate here. So how do I do that? So, you start learning how to do that. And there's a desire to want to get towards the light, Because when you're young, you don't have that knowledge.
I think all religions are pretty much trying to teach that.
The same thing.
कहते तो यही है ना, अच्छे काम करोगे तो वाइब्रेशन आपकी बेहतर होगी ना, बुरे काम करोगे, बुरा सोचोगे तो you'll be on a lower vibration.
इंसान को ये बात बड़े phases से गुजरने के बाद समझ आती है.
हाँ, यही तो हम we're trying to figure out.
I think, there was a book I read, I can't remember, long time ago, which said that the first 10 years of your life, you're just, it's only when you hit past 40 is when your vibration naturally, because so much experiences come into you, so much of negative, positive, something changes.
After
Naturally,
40.
After
40,
40,
something vibrationally changes. And now it's happening early. Because I don't know if you've read about indigo kids.
Yeah, I know.
You've read about the indigo kids. They can do things like,
But they're coming from parents who have
high
So
consciousness.
that's the reason. I mean, we could just go on.
I know there's so much.
For-
But one thing I do want to say, you said something about that we don't have choice. Well, it's interesting because apparently, I think we choose our parents.
Yeah.
When we're
I
in
get what you're
soul
saying.
form,
Yeah. But we don't remember it and we don't know it. So what
We're
I
not
meant
supposed
was,
to remember,
That's
yeah.
what I meant is
Yeah.
when we're born, we don't
don't,
really
yeah.
know. So the choices that were made in spirit, we don't really know.
don't know that.
It could be made for us so that we could become better. We may not choose it ourselves. We don't know that.
I think maybe from what I've been told in some spiritual information, that the circumstances are lined up.
Yeah.
For us to become better,
Better,
and for us
to vibrate higher.
Yeah,
And then your free will makes you drop back.
so we have a choice.
So there is a choice.
yes.
People say there is a choice.
There's always a
Because
choice.
you're choosing, I'm going to wear this top today. You're choosing all the time. You're choosing, do I want to go here? No, I don't want to go there.
For you to decide to come here,
Yeah,
that was a
and I
choice too.
also had a choice where I nearly picked up the phone twice and said, "Yaar, meri tabiyat theek nahi, I can't come." But something in me said, "No, I'll go." I haven't given an interview for years, So it was the choice, the illness, but then something in my soul said no. Intuitively, I said, "No, I want to go. I want to meet Salman." I felt there was something vibrational, to be very honest. That's the only reason why I didn't say no. Otherwise, the way that I was pretty bad. I would have said no to any PTV, koi idhar. Because I know it's a Ravaiti interview, it's, ye to hote rehte. But I had a feeling that there's, I don't know. I told you I'm intuitive like that.
Well, thank God for that feeling. And we are so honored that you came.
Thank you
and,
so much.
Thank
Gave
you
us
so
so
much.
much information
so
and
nice.
knowledge about not just dance, but life and spirituality. I mean, I honestly want to talk and talk.
We
and
could
talk.
go on and on and on, yeah.
And so hopefully maybe in a few
Inshallah.
months you'll come back and share more knowledge
I'd
with
love
us.
to. It was lovely.
So
thank you for being our guest on Khayali Dialogue.
And I'm very honored to be the first female guest in your show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is also...
I wish you the best of luck because it's a fabulous idea what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Khayali Dialogue. Please subscribe, like, and share our videos so we can grow and we can bring more amazing guests for you and for us. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.